take the stage.
Well, whether you know her as an assistant professor of nutrition at UNC Chapel Hill, a research specialist for the Carolina Hunger Initiative, or an award-winning cake decorator, the moderator of our next panel is Jessica Soldavini. That's right. And she is joined by Rachel Findley, Senior Director of Nutrition at NCDPI, as well as Jennifer Bailey, Assistant Director of Community Nutrition at NCDHHS. Everyone, please take the stage.
All right, hello everyone. So excited to be here today with you all to moderate this panel. My name is Jessica Soldavini, and I'm with the Carolina Hunger Initiative team. I'm joined by some amazing speakers today from the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction and the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. Although they are newer to their current roles, they've been doing this work for a long time, and we've been excited to partner with them throughout this. So an estimated 1 in 5 children in North Carolina experience food insecurity. This is a serious issue that can have negative impacts on a variety of outcomes, including poor dietary intake, their academic performance, mental health, and more. And so we're excited to be here today to talk about some amazing programs that can help to address these issues. So our speakers administer a variety of different programs to support food and nutrition security among children across our state. These programs include the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, also known as WIC, the Child and Adult Care Food Program, which also includes the At-Risk After School Meals Program, the National School Lunch Program, School Breakfast, and the Summer Nutrition Programs for kids. And across these programs actually cover children from birth to 18 years old. So we have some amazing programs in the state that cover kids across their life course of being a child. So these programs are critical for ensuring that students have access to the nutritious foods that they need to thrive. And my team and I have had the privilege of collaborating with both NCDPI and NCDHHS on a variety of efforts. So over the years, my team and I have gotten the opportunity to visit numerous meal sites throughout the state. I've also had the opportunity to work in the school kitchens in Durham Public Schools at a variety of different schools and help with things like meal prep and serving meals to students. And through these experiences, one of the things that stands out to me most is the dedication of the staff that work in these programs. They are doing such amazing work every day to ensure that the students have the foods that they need in order to thrive. And they really go above and beyond to ensure that kids have the food that they need. Just to give you one example, I was working in a school kitchen one day, helping with the meal prep, and before lunch service, power went out. The staff there did not stop. They immediately came up with a plan, and kids had lunch that day. There was never any hesitation that those students were not going to get lunch despite the challenges that they were facing. So these are just one story of the amazing work that these people are doing to ensure that our students have food every day. Our state agency staff also go above and beyond in order to support our students. And so that's why I'm so excited to have some representatives here today in order that we'll get to hear from. So during this panel, you'll get to hear from each of our speakers to learn more about the programs that they administer, how they're being impacted by recent policy changes, ways to support them, and some of the successes they have experienced. So let's get started. Our first question I'm going to ask Jennifer is, Jennifer, can you tell us a little bit about the role that child nutrition programs you oversee play in reducing food insecurity?
Well, and I'm going to go off script just a second, as many of you who know me know that I do quite often. But I'd like to ask the SNAP team over here to stand from DHHS. They have done a tremendous job, as Attorney General Jackson is saying. I had a front row seat to what they were involved in throughout the government shutdown, and it was insane what they had to go through. And he was not kidding when he said that they worked 24/7 to make sure that families had these benefits. So thank you to this team. Really appreciate all of you. So just a little bit about our division and how we came about. During COVID, we actually Dr. Cohen realized that we needed to be separate from the Division of Public Health, to have a division all our own to focus on children and families specifically. So she created the division in the midst of every crazy thing that we were going through in COVID to focus on this. So in that division, we have Community Nutrition Services, which is WIC and CACFP. We have Food Nutrition Services, which is SNAP. We also have Early Intervention and Whole Child Health. So it is a whole suite of programs to serve children and families. So we're very excited to have that focus now. So I'll start with CACFP and how we're addressing food security there. So in CACFP, it's very similar to school meals. We provide nutritious meals based on a meal pattern to children and adults. So we serve daycare centers, daycare homes, after-school programs, adult daycares, and emergency shelters. So we serve around 112,000 participants per day. We have 483 institutions and over 3,500 facilities. So it's a very widespread program throughout our state. Last year, we served about 55 million meals, so very significant impact on food security in our state, and not just food security, but nutrition security. So CACFP has a huge impact. It's about $485 million in economic impact in North Carolina. So for WIC, we don't serve meals to them, but we actually have food packages. But for WIC, it is pregnant, postpartum, and breastfeeding mothers. It's infants all the way up to children who are 5 years of age. And we serve about 265,000 women, infants, and children in North Carolina. So it's about $289 million impact. So very significant impact there. And we serve them in 4 different ways. So we have food packages that are tailored to meet the nutritional needs of the participants, because the 2 factors, it's not just economic need in WIC, but it's also nutritional risk. And WIC is one of the most evidence-based programs out there to show, we're reducing low birth weight rates. There we go. 2 different words trying to come out at the same time. We're reducing childhood iron deficiency anemia. There's a lot of really good benefits of WIC, and it's scientifically proven. So first the food packages, then we have breastfeeding promotion and education, we have nutrition education, and then we also refer to other community services, other programs that they might be eligible for. So we do a lot around WIC. So pass it on to Rachel.
All right, thank you. So Rachel, let's hear from you now on what role the child nutrition programs you oversee play in reducing food insecurity.
Well, my team knows I'll also go rogue. So our school nutrition folks that are in the room that are at the district level, can you please stand or raise your hands? Y'all are the ones doing the work, right? You're the one boot on the ground every single day feeding students. And when we heard from Superintendent Jackson, he talked about watching that student graduation. If you haven't seen those videos, you should, because the school nutrition staff were the ones at the end of the line that were the heroes to those students. The ones who they were hugging, calling by name, all the stories you've heard today, all your staff do that, and you do it every single day. Kudos to you. And then we have those of us at the state agency that support your efforts. So if you're with the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, can you please raise your hands or stand? We are your extra team member, right? We're the ones to assist you when everything goes sideways. We're the ones you call, and we're happy to be your supports, and we'll continue to be your support throughout our time together. School meal programs. I feel like that one's pretty well covered already this morning, but essentially school meal programs bring back $725 million of your hard-earned federal tax dollars back into the students of North Carolina. That's a really impressive number to bring back of your dollars to feed our students here in North Carolina. School nutrition programs have a lot of different requirements. Oftentimes, you see the smiling faces standing at the end of that lunch line, greeting every student by name. There's a lot of work that goes behind that smile in that space. They're constantly counting. They're doing so much math. We don't even think about how much math they're doing. Writing production records, counting up how many servings are left over, how many servings do you need for the day. Everything is thoughtful and calculated and meticulously done in order for students to be fed in North Carolina and to make sure that we're not overproducing food items or creating more food waste when we don't need to be. Everything is very measured. So the primary thing, I think, between both of our programs, and I'll talk about Sun Meals in just a minute when we go more to the Sun Meals questions, but the two programs the programs that we support are really supporting families. We have pregnant people that we're supporting. We're supporting that child when it's born. They're going into child care after that. At 5 years old, they turn those children over to our care in the school meal programs. And we care for those children in the school year, and we care for those children in the summertime. And then eventually those children become capable adults who are wonderful members of our society because our teams and you all did all of this work to ensure that they were fed. Because we know that outcomes of what people and who people become after they get out of high school is dependent upon food insecurity and food access. And so that's what we all bring here. We're here to support these families, to create a generation of people who are going to be successful and capable adults when they leave our doors, and that's our work.
All right, thank you. All right, so thank you so much for sharing about the different programs that your agencies administer. As you can see, we have programs that support children from, before even the time that they're born, supporting pregnant individuals all the way up, through age 18. And so these are just some really amazing programs that are able to work together. Another thing, too, to think about with these programs is it's not just certain time periods. It's really, 365 days a year that these programs can serve children, again, from that birth to 18, working in combination, starting off with the WIC program, CACFP, going into school meals programs, with the Child and Adult Care Food Program that also has the at-risk after-school meals program component, and so you could serve meals, after school times as well, on weekends, things like that, and then the Summer Meals program, which helps fill that gap during the summer. So we've got programs that are really, able to help fill the gap year-round for these kids. So really great work that's being done here in our state. So one of the things about these programs that we've been hearing a lot about is different policy changes that are coming up. And so could you each tell us a little bit about how you're reacting to schedule changes to things like SNAP and other policy changes that are on the horizon? So Jennifer, let's start with you.
Sure. So SNAP changes will impact our programs indirectly, mainly in the form of the income eligibility piece. So right now, if you're eligible for SNAP or eligible for Medicaid, you are also eligible for WIC and CACFP, at least for WIC on the side of the economic piece. So we anticipate seeing a decrease in enrollment from that avenue. And so families will actually have to provide proof of income, and we're a little bit concerned that that may be a deterrent to enrolling in these programs. I also talked to a WIC director yesterday here in Buncombe County, and she said something I hadn't thought of yet, and that was that we may see more people coming to the WIC program because they are losing the SNAP benefit. They may have never participated in our program before because they didn't necessarily need to have that additional supplemental program, but now that they're losing those SNAP benefits, they may be coming to us for the first time. So that'll be interesting to see the balance of how that works. A couple other policies that we're watching right now. One is we've had waivers in place since COVID started for allowing virtual certification for our programs. So virtual certification, recertification, nutrition education appointments, those waivers are going to end September 30th. So there is some legislation that was actually proposed last week, the 21st Century WIC Act, that would allow this to be a permanent thing, and which would be incredible for the WIC program because it's really helped us increase retention of participants once we get them into the program. It's even helped with bringing more people to the program, especially from rural areas that can't necessarily get to a clinic, but they can do a virtual appointment. So it's been very helpful for our program. So we hope to see that legislation go through. And please, if you have a chance to comment on that, make your voices heard. The other piece that we are looking at is, the government shutdown was very, very tough on WIC because it is a discretionary program. So all the other child nutrition programs are entitlement programs, which means that money is pretty much guaranteed to be there, except for what we saw happen unprecedented in SNAP. But being a discretionary program, our funding is variable every single year, and it's not guaranteed. And then when we have an October 1 shutdown like we did this year, we do not get our first quarter allocation. And so we're dependent on our spend forward funds that we have from the previous year. Thank goodness North Carolina was fiscally responsible, and we had some spend forward funds to get us started. We also relied on the contingency funds that the USDA provided to us in 2 different rounds, but it was just in time funding. Like there were times we were within hours of shutting off benefits. Like it was that dire. And we also had an infant formula rebate that we relied on, and thank goodness we had that in our contract that we could get some advances on our formula rebates. So we had a lot of things going there, and we even reached out to the state for support as well, and they were willing to support us. But what we need to see happen is some changes in how WIC is funded. One of the immediate things that could be done is instead of the 3% spend forward, it could be bumped up to a 10% spend forward so that we have about a month to work with. This was an unprecedented shutdown. We've never seen one this long, especially with it being an October 1st shutdown. So those are some of the things that we're watching and some of the policies that are really pertinent. There's a lot going on in WIC and CACFP right now, so if you want to get involved in that, let me know.
Great, thank you. Rachel, can you now tell us a little bit about how you're reacting to some of the changes to SNAP and other policies?
Yes, so let me give you a little bit of perspective. So SNAP, let me pull back the curtain a little bit from the wizard back there pulling all the levers. It's really not that fancy. So how we determine in the school meals program who is on SNAP, we actually get a file from the Department of Health and Human Services every evening, and that file is merged with our student information file. And we're able to identify the students who were on SNAP or Medicaid that are in that file. That file then goes to the school nutrition programs for them to download and place into their point-of-sale systems to designate who should be provided free meals and who should be provided with paid meals. Well, at the end of last school year of 2025, 860,000 students were on SNAP. 860,000 students were on SNAP in June of 2025. That number has decreased. That number will continue to decrease. And what that means is these students are no longer categorically eligible for free meals based on the file we received from the Department of Health and Human Services. Now, our hardworking school nutrition central office staff are going to have to get free and reduced applications completed by families who haven't completed a free and reduced application perhaps the entire time that child has been in school. I have been a school nutrition director. I have been a school nutrition director who accepted free and reduced applications. It is incredibly difficult to get families to fill out an application. It's going to be even more difficult to get families to fill out an application that never have filled out an application before. So we've already seen our SNAP students decrease in the numbers of students coming through as eligible for SNAP. What that truly means is there's another ripple here that folks aren't familiar with, and that's the community eligibility provision. Within that provision, all students can eat school meals for free for breakfast and lunch at no cost. And that provision is primarily fueled by that file I just told you about from DHHS. So the ability for school districts or schools to remain on the community eligibility program is what's kind of teetering in this balance with SNAP. We got a little bit of a glimmer of what this would look like In October, when the information came that SNAP benefits were going to be cut starting November 1st, and we're getting constant calls in our office from superintendents, from chief finance officers, from communities, and people just trying to figure out, how can you help us get food to students in the interim? And the answer is, I can't. My authority only extends to certain parameters. I can't recreate this program to do things it was never regulated to do. It was never written into law to do. And so we sat there on our hands telling them, we're so sorry, we can't help you. We can't feed more meals than we're allowed to feed. And it was just an aha moment for these superintendents and for these folks in the front office of these schools to say, well, what do we do now? And what do we do now looked like a lot of different things. But we've seen this glimpse of what this is going to be. It's going to be catastrophic for our students in North Carolina if SNAP benefits expire. It's going to be catastrophic for the school nutrition programs who rely on that categorical eligibility in order to operate schools meals at no cost for students. It's going to cascade, and we don't quite know what it's going to look like, but we're hopeful, and I will always remain hopeful that these cuts will not come to fruition.
Right, thank you. So we just heard a little bit about some Right, so we just heard a little bit about some of the policy changes coming up and how that may pose some challenges to school, to the different programs like WIC and school meals programs. Can you tell us a little bit about where meal providers need the most support right now?
For CACFP, it's simple. We need more recruitment of additional institutions and facilities. We're at 483 institutions right now, but that barely scratches the surface for where we could be in North Carolina. So we need support for their infrastructure. It's really difficult for a daycare home provider to come on our program. If you've ever applied for summer meals, multiply that by times 3 or 4 for CACFP. It's an extremely intense application process. Rachel's been in CACFP before, so she understands that too. So they need support to be able to come on our program. They have to prove that they're administratively capable, that they're financially viable. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. So helping them with that process and coming on our program and just building that infrastructure is really important. For WIC, we're very much a referral-based program. So it's very much word of mouth, how women find out about WIC. And so we really need your support in that. Those of you in school nutrition, you have a huge opportunity there because you're working with families. And so you know that the families have other siblings, typically that are younger, so you can help refer to our program. Healthcare providers have been a huge, huge assistance in that as well. And also in WIC, we are working very much on modernizing our program. We've made a lot of great strides in, updating our systems and going to an EBT card so that they could use a card at the grocery store instead of the book that we used to have of vouchers that all had to be spent at one time. So we've come a really long way. We even just moved our management information system to the cloud last weekend. So we're very excited about that and having that hosted there. That's going to open up a lot of opportunities for us. But we're working on other forms of modernization like online shopping for WIC. So we're very excited about that as well. Support of vendors is going to be really important for that because they don't have the infrastructure yet to do it. We know of one vendor in North Carolina that can do it so far, and we're working with them first, and then we're going to start building the rest of them. So we'll need a lot of funding to do that as well. But, thanks.
And I'll probably echo all of Jennifer's sentiments. Funding, $4.71. That's how much school nutrition programs are reimbursed depending on where they are in the state for a meal. $4.71 pays for food, supplies, staff, benefits as well. It pays for direct costs, any overhead. I doubt most of us in this room could do all of that for $4.71 a meal. We need funding. Just like everyone else, we need funding. We need advocates to talk to their lawmakers about our programs, the impact the programs have on their students, and that they need to be supported at the state level and supported more at the federal level. We need advocacy around seat time. Students need time to eat. I did an interview with an NC State student on Friday for her class, and I talked about seat time, and she said, when I came to college, it took me a full year to figure out I didn't have to eat my lunch in 10 minutes. She did. She said, I had a whole hour, and I thought to myself, why do we not provide this for students in school? Because she asked me what the measurement of success is, and I said, if you're talking to a finance officer, they're going to tell you the measurement of success is the profit and loss statement. What does that balance sheet look like? I said, to me, the measure of success is how much food is left in that trash can at the end of the day. That's success. So we need you to carry our stories. We're fortunate enough that we hear all of your stories, and we're able to bring those stories to the spaces that the tables we get to sit at and the spaces that we're in. But you need to carry these stories with you and advocate with these stories to tell our lawmakers what the needs are of these programs. We're all advocates here. Anybody that's supporting this program is an advocate of this program. And we need you to lift up these stories to anyone that will listen so they understand the hard work and dedication of our school nutrition staff, and they understand how much we deeply, deeply care for every single student that walks through our doors. We call them by name, we give them a hug, we give them some carrots, and we tell them that'll make their eyes pretty. We do all kinds of things. We care for them, and that's the piece that needs to be communicated out the most.
All right, so thank you so much to our speakers. We'll wrap up with one final question. And so child nutrition programs are facing a lot of challenges and can overshadow some of the amazing impacts they're already making. Can you each leave us with one example of a success and positivity from your work? So what is one example that you'd like to share to wrap us up with?
Tough to narrow that down. I could stay till 4:30 and tell you all the things that we're doing. I'm learning new things every day that we've done in our programs, but I think the one that I'll choose out of everything that I have here on my list is, or maybe I'll do two, one for each program since I have two programs. One is the breastfeeding award that we won this year. So we had the most agencies, or most premier awards for agencies that we've ever seen in North Carolina this year. We're very excited about that. And the state agency also won a performance bonus award for breastfeeding because we increased breastfeeding rates the most in the Southeast region out of all the Southeast states. Yeah. So we're very, very proud of that, and we're going to do it again next year. So, because we were able to buy $300,000 worth of breast pumps because of it. So we're very excited about that. And for CACFP, we're going to be expanding the Farmers Market Nutrition Program. So we're very excited. We got the commitment from Buncombe yesterday, so we're excited. ASAP, I know, is here, and you guys are, yes. So we're very excited about that. And then also there's a partnership that we'd like to announce real quick, if that's all right. So between DHHS, DPI, and the Carolina Hunger Initiative, we're going to begin our work on at-risk after-school meals again. So Dr. Harvey started it 10 years ago, so thank you. She laid the foundation for us to do this work, and we're going to continue that work, and we are very, very excited. So get ready, because we're coming to all of you.
Yes, we're going to feed more kids, right? That's what we do. So I'll also highlight school nutrition programs have seen pretty impressive growth with the community eligibility provision. Although it is teetering on the edge, we've seen some really remarkable growth there. We're over 180,000 students are receiving additional meals in the CEP programs that were not receiving them before. That's great work. The second piece is summer meals, which I didn't have a chance to get into, but y'all have covered it pretty well this morning. But in 2025, we served 1 million more summer meals than we served in 2024. And that is no small feat for the state agency to support that level of growth within the sponsors and to ensure that those meals are being served with integrity. And so we're very proud of that achievement. Hope to increase that sum again in the summer of 2026, but that was mostly because of Sun Meals to Go. That was mostly because of the non-congregate meal service that we can provide now to families and support families. And I have one story about that, and then I'll stop, I promise. So one of the things that really hit last summer when down east, a sponsor called me to let me know that a conversation that had happened between her and a parent. And of course, being the state agency, you think to yourself, oh, great, here we go. What's going to happen now? You just kind of buckle yourself in, get ready for the bumpy road. But she said that parent was tearful when she picked up food one day and just said, I get to eat because you fed my children. And that's what I'll leave you with today.
All right, well, thank you so much, Rachel and Jennifer, for sharing with us today, and also to all the amazing people out in our audience that are doing this work every day to support students. So thank you, everyone.